Venezuela, a country with the world's largest proven oil reserves, yet an economy in crisis and a political system under intense pressure. As the United States escalates sanctions and naval pressure in the Caribbean, another question comes sharply into focus. What exactly do China and Russia want in Venezuela? Let's break it down. China's interests. China's involvement in Venezuela is strategic and deeply financial. Over the past years, Venezuelan oil has become an increasingly important import for China. Recent estimates suggest more than 600,000 barrels a day could be heading to China, a major share of Venezuela's output. For Beijing, this isn't just about today's fuel needs. It's about energy security, independence, and leverage in a world where oil supply equals power. And China has invested heavily to secure that leverage. Venezuela owes China an estimated $60 to $70 billion. Those loans are often repaid not in cash, but in oil. China also sells weapons, telecommunications equipment, and surveillance technology to Venezuela. Much of the country's critical infrastructure now relies on Chinese systems, deepening the relationship. Politically, there's alignment too. Beijing and Caracas both promote state-controlled economic models and share a resistance to U.S. influence. So when the U.S. targets Venezuelan oil tankers, China publicly criticizes Washington, positioning itself as an ally, while also making sure America stays distracted close to home. For China, Venezuela is about resources, reach, and reinforcing its global presence. Russia's interests. Russia's story in Venezuela goes back decades. Moscow became one of Venezuela's biggest arms suppliers under Hugo Chavez. And when Nicolás Maduro took power, the relationship continued. The turning point came in 2019, when opposition leader Juan Guaidó declared himself interim president. The United States backed him almost immediately. Russia stepped in. It sent military aircraft, personnel, and equipment, a powerful signal that the Kremlin still had influence in the Americas. Analysts say that Russia's support helped Maduro survive one of the greatest threats to his rule. So why does Russia care? Because challenging U.S. dominance in Latin America carries symbolic and strategic weight. It gives Moscow partners, presence, and geopolitical bargaining power. And when crises flare, Russia gains leverage in global negotiations. Today, Russia's backing is more verbal than military, but the relationship remains strong and meaningful. Where does this leave the United States? Washington has long viewed Venezuela through the lens of oil, security, and democracy. Sanctions have tightened, diplomacy has grown, and recent rhetoric has turned even sharper, with calls for Venezuela to return oil assets nationalized in the 2000s. At the same time, neighboring Guyana, also oil-rich, is rising in importance, increasing the stakes in the region. So now, three global powers are entangled in one fragile nation: the United States, China, and Russia, each with oil interests, political goals, and strategic motives. And Venezuela, facing economic collapse and political tension, sits at the center of it all. The key question going forward is not just who supports whom, but how far each country is willing to go and what that means for the Venezuelan people caught in the middle. This isn't only a story about oil. It's a story about power, alliances, and global influence playing out thousands of miles from Washington, Moscow, and Beijing, but affecting them all.
Subscribe to One India and never miss an update. Download the One India app now.